Welcome back to Vintage Story. The next thing I'm going to show you is panning, and with some of these ruins we've been picking up bony soil. Now you can do this with any type of soil, but for this particular type of soil you get a lot better reward than you would if you were in another area. I know that gravel and things like that, they can actually be panned so that you can find small nuggets of various ores. It's a very slow way of gaining materials if you're really in a bind and you can't find anything. But with the bony soil, this one will actually give you artifacts and this kind of stuff. But the first thing we need to do is we need to create a panning bowl. Here you go, wooden pan. So we'll create one of those. And we'll place this wood back. I think I might also extend our pathway out just a little bit, because what we need for this is water. So ideally we should have a little gateway leading out to the water. I guess we maybe could utilize that area there actually, as we already have a certain amount of protection. And then this way we can pan this material at night as well, when there's unpleasant things around. So we'll place a little bit of extra fencing around. I don't want to close myself in too much. I guess for now it's not really going to help us very much here, but we'll just block ourselves in very slightly. We need to be able to stand in the water when we do this. So I will remove this. And so the first task is to place one of these pieces of mud or bony soil onto the ground, like so. So you pick it up with the bowl, right click into the bowl pan, and then you hover over the water and pan for the material. See, we've got another candle there. On this. This is a very good way to get materials that can be a little bit harder to get early game. And this bony soil is on all of the ruins. So there you have it. We can place our little bowl down here, and you can see here sometimes we can drop things on the ground if we don't have enough inventory space, but I think for now we are doing quite well. And as we see here, we have flint arrowheads. We've picked some bone out of there, obviously. A copper spearhead, very, very useful. Flax fibers, again, very useful at this stage. I wanted to make a bucket earlier on. An arrowhead, copper arrowhead. A rusty gear, which is a currency again, and a couple of bony rib cages, which I believe you can place them down and then collect bone from them. And then we have a rough diamond here as well. So from, I think it was 5 pieces of soil that we got from one of the ruins, you can see we've actually managed to get quite a lot of very useful items for ourselves there. It's a very good way early game, if you find a ruin, to be able to collect enough materials, special materials, to help you, and that then can lead on to, if you have some copper ingots, you can start making lanterns and things like that a little earlier on. So generally, very useful little tip there. And so as nighttime kicks in, and I see we have some issues with our rift activity, which is going to get a lot of stuff spawning onto us, I'm thinking about making a simple bow to protect ourselves with. So if I go to the help screen, and we can see here I've got a crude bow and a simple bow. Simple bow, 3 flax twines, which is quite hard to get at this stage. But also we can do a crude bow, which just needs rope. And then later on we can do the long bow, which allows us to have a bow stave that we can craft. And in order to make a long bow stave, we simply take 2 logs and use the saw, and then we leave it out to dry. And I think we will also actually try to do that, as we have all of these tools at our disposal. It's not quite night time yet, so we should be safe to go and get some wood. So we've got our saw. And some wood. And I guess we can get maybe 3 of those on the go. And this can go back on the rack. And then these can, I believe, go anywhere to dry. So hopefully at some point we'll come back and they will be good enough to be used. And then you get a more accurate, more powerful bow. In the meantime, we'll tuck ourselves up in here and we will make the simple bow. So we have some rope, 3 pieces of rope. And so now if we go back to the help, and we'll choose the crude bow, and it's just 3 sticks and 3 rope. Very easy. And so now we have something to defend ourselves with from a distance, which is again very useful. And we had some arrows that we picked up. We had some crude arrow tips that we picked up from the sifting through the dirt, if you remember. We'll take those, and I think we can store these here, but I also believe they can be placed onto our character via a quiver at some point. But we don't have that at the moment. So that's something to work towards. And we can see here our body armor has taken a little bit of damage over time. So now with my crude bow, I should be able to aim, and there you go, you can see the arrow is notched. And off it goes. Bit of a waste of an arrow there, but worth showing it. And I think on that note, I will get some sleep. And so the next thing I'm going to do is to quickly create some additional arrow tips for our crude bow. So we have our flint as normal, we can place this down, and then you can see here I can make 6 at a time here. So as you can see here, we now have 30. And we're going to need some more wood in order to get additionals. So that's what I shall do. And the simplest way to gather the fastest wood without having the shears is to try to find bushes or low-hanging trees and simply hack away at all of the bushes. And leave the trees looking a little strange. And here we have a nice dense area. It does seem to also grow back over time as well. I have cleared this area several times and it keeps coming back. It can also be very useful for clearing your line of sight against bears and wolves and things like that, which are now hostile in the game. So I'm sure we will be seeing something, especially as there was a carcass on the floor just there. And so you can see very quickly we've got another 37 pieces there. So we now have a very decent stack of crude arrows. They're not very effective, I must warn. A rabbit will require maybe 3 hits with this crude bow and these crude arrows, but it's better than nothing. And it can be useful if you're chasing down an animal, if you can maintain your aim enough to be able to hit, for being able to just pick them off from a distance. So the next stage is to increase the size of our storage and our inventory, and our pelts are now available for us to use. So before we can make the hunter's backpack, we need to go and get some more reeds. And if I show you, we can see here the hunter backpack just requires 1 large pelt with some reeds, or 3 small. And unfortunately I only have medium pelts. I'm not sure if it's actually available. Oh yes, we can use a medium as well. So we should be able to get, actually, if we can get enough of these reeds, we should be able to get 4 new storage, which would be excellent. So I'm going to go off and gather some reeds and I'll bring you right back. And so whilst I'm out gathering reeds, I noticed I started to take damage with heavy hailstorms. And so you can see here the hail is falling. It doesn't do a great deal of damage, but it is hurting a little here. You can hear my character objecting slightly to the impact of the hailstones. They're very cool, actually, these little additions for the weather system. And so I am now back with the reeds that we need, the cattails. So we will make our hunter backpack. We have 1, 2, 3. Now it's dawning on me actually that as I do this, I'm losing all of the items out of my inventory. Well, now I'm going to empty this into these here. Place that down. Now I will take this, place it into there. And the same with this one. And the same with this one. I actually explained this earlier on, I remember mentioning that this can be an issue. But now we have an empty original basket here, so again we can make our final hunter backpack. Oh, no we can't. Yes we can. There we go. So we now have a full set of hunter's backpacks. And we can just leave these to despawn. I'll leave that one there just in case we need it. Oh, in fact we can actually pick them up as a non-storage item, that's good. I wonder if we can put them inside. No, we cannot. So we now have significantly more storage space on us. I appreciate the comment as well in the community where I was reminded to utilise this facility. I'd forgotten all about the hide. Very useful, early game. So you want to take some fat and you want to take a piece of hide and you want to create a pelt that you can then utilise to make a backpack. And on that note, I think I'm going to end this episode. So we've covered quite a bit. We've got our new garden out. We've got stuff growing in the garden. It's not growing particularly well because of the heat at the moment, unfortunately. But we certainly should get a significant amount more food. And the next thing is going to be to find a way to store this food properly, where we need to dig a cellar, ideally. I will try not to forget that in the next episode. We've also created a simple boat to protect ourselves with, a very rudimentary level. We've done some panning and found some interesting little items from the bony soil. And we've created our hunter backpack along with a few other bits and pieces. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I know I have. And I'll look forward to seeing you on the next one. So until then, bye bye.